Before you is a walrus of a man seated behind a large desk. He looks up from his work, not the least bit surprised to see you. With great effort, he straightens himself up in his chair, yet says nothing. He simply stares at you.
Welcome, Mr. Dubois, Mr. Kitsuragi. It's good of you two to stop by. Please, have a seat. I'm Everard Clare, head of the Debarders Union here in Martinez. I'd offer you my hand, but unfortunately my health prevents me from getting up. You understand?
He looks extremely comfortable. The tiny folding chair, on the other hand, looks like a torture device.
You go ahead, detective.
Whatever he has in store for you, it can't be good, he thinks. I'll do my best. Forget about that. What's with this Dubois stuff? You're getting some seriously bad vibes from that name.
Excellent, Mr. Dubois. I can see that you're a reasonable man, and reasonable men can be of great use to one another. So tell me, how can the head of the Debarders Union help a representative of the Revachol Citizens Militia today?
Feel something in your chest, an unnatural pressure. It's spreading to your left arm, your jaw. No, it's many years of combined self-neglect and self-abuse. All you feel is pain and weakness. You have to surrender now. We all do. Cop suffers final heart attack. A detective lieutenant of the RCM passed away yesterday. His death, though abrupt, did not come as a surprise to those.
Oh, hey, mister. I knew you'd be back to talk with old Leo here. Yes, I did. It's like Lady Lariche said when she opened a bathhouse in the basement of my apartment building. They can only get so far before they're aching to get back. And sure, mister, absolutely. I'm always willing to help out nice fellows such as yourself.
Before you is a walrus of a man seated behind a large desk. He looks up from his work, not the least bit surprised to see you. With great effort, he straightens himself up in...
Welcome, Mr. Dubois, Mr. Kitsuragi. It's good of you two to stop by. Please, have a seat. I'm Everard Clare. I'd offer you my hand, but unfortunately my health prevents me from getting...
He looks extremely comfortable. The tiny folding chair, on the other hand, looks like a torture device.
You go ahead, detective.
Whatever he has in store for you, forget about that. What's with this Dubois stuff? You're getting some seriously bad vibes from that name.
Please, Mr. Dubois, let us converse in a civilized manner, as equals. Take a seat. I insist. Very well, Mr. Dubois. I respect a man with strong convictions. I, too, have convictions. One of which is that I will not engage with any man who won't face me at eye level. Should you find yourself more amenable in the future, I'd gladly resume our conversation. But until then, I'm afraid I must ask you to leave.
You're no Titan of Elysium, buddy. He's got you in a fork. Sit down or leave.
Excellent, Mr. Dubois. I can see that you're a reasonable man, and reasonable men can be of great use to one another. So tell me, how can the head of the Debarders Union help a representative of the Revachol Citizens Militia today?
The chair you're sitting on has got to be the most uncomfortable chair in the world. It's violating your backside.
Oh, by the way, I heard you got a rather rude reception from a certain Lawrence Gart. Some people have no manners, it pains me to say. This should take care of that nonsense. It should be sufficient to cover your expenses for a few days and patch over your differences with the cafeteria manager. Go ahead, take it.
Hey, that's 25 real. That's good money. Think of all the stuff you could.
Yes, I know Lawrence. He's a real character. No union man in him. A real piece of work, that boy is.
With a grin, he points to the checker game. It's like you're on a game show. At least don't thank him for it.
Okay. I respect a man with principles. No handouts, then. Now, I'd like to set your mind at ease about one other matter. Your lost gun. Let me assure you, Union people are on it as we speak. I've got my best hounds looking for that lost gun.
His slug-like lips move, but all you hear is an echo. Lost gun, lost gun, lost gun. The world is swallowed by a black hole of fear. Only 2 words escape its gravitational pull. Lost and gun. When he said, "Don't worry," he actually meant, be very worried.
Are you all right, Harry? You seem anxious. Don't be. Everything's going to be all right. It's not like you left it loaded. You didn't lose a loaded gun. Local children aren't out there playing with it right now, pointing it into their own mouths. It's in a safe place. I just know it. I have a feeling everything's going to be all right.
Officer, we will deal with this later. We don't need Mr. Clare's help with this.
I wouldn't be so sure about that.
Officer, we will deal with this.
I wouldn't be so sure about that.
God, you're sweating. Your knee is jerking. You're about to cry, aren't you? You're about to cry.
Mr. Dubois, you don't look so good.
What is this, Mr. Dubois? He keeps repeating. What is he trying to pull here? You need to cool the fuck down. Chill.
Mr. Dubois! Mr. Dubois! Harry! Mr. Dubois, are you okay? Can I get you a glass of water or something? Are you having some kind of medical emergency?
Maybe you could use your hands somehow, in a kind of throw-in motion, like you're throwing that Mr. Dubois act right back at him. He's Mr. Dubois.
What an odd demonstration of... you got me, Harry. I don't even know what. As entertaining as it was, I'm afraid we're wasting our time. And I'm an extremely busy man, as I'm sure you are too.
Okay, enough. We are here to ask you some questions pertaining to a murder investigation.
Honestly, I didn't want to bring it up, Harry. I heard you have become Measurehead's race pupil. Personally, I'm not big on the whole race thing, but that's okay. It's all right to be a massive racist, Harry. Let me assure you, I'm very glad you're comfortable sharing this with me. I run a big and quirky organization. Everyone is welcome. Birds of all feathers. Anyway, I assure you, I am a very well-informed man. Information reaches me before I even get the chance to request it. Of course, let us dispatch with the formalities. You call me Everard, I call you Harry. My God, so it's true. I didn't want to believe it, but you are a fantastic science fiction amnesiac cop, aren't you? What are the odds of that?
I think the odds of that are very low.
It might be a good idea to hide your confusion. I mean, see what his game is first.
So good to hear that, Harry. If you did have a spot of memory trouble, I could help you out. With my big fat folder.
Words flow like a river of honey from his lips. I guess word has already reached him. No matter. No harm done.
Are you trying to tell me you've gotten hold of some of our documents?
Mr. Kitsuragi, would you mind? Me and Harry are talking about his lost identity right now.
Don't just jump to the folder. That's not smart. Shows you're on the edge. Do some probing first.
Of course, Harry, of course. Let's not linger on personal details and amnesia. You wanted something from me. Oh, of course. That's your main thing here. That's why you're in Martinez. I know everything that goes on around here, and I would love to discuss it with you. I mean, it's no secret that the lynching is connected to the strike. So much to talk about. Honestly, it's been weighing on me so heavily. I understand you need to interview me. But there's a thing that's been keeping me up at night. I want to talk about the hanging. I mean, if we could just calmly talk, exchange information, we could blow this thing wide open.
Yes, that sounds good. Let's do that.
But I can't think straight with this thing weighing on me. You're police officers, aren't you? I have a crazy idea. You guys are basically door-opening machines. Incredibly talented at opening doors.
I'm not sure I understand. If you're asking us to break down someone's door, it's not going to happen.
Come now. I just need you to go open a little door for me and leave it unlocked. A simple thing. Absolutely nothing shady about it.
An excellent opportunity presents itself, sire. You could win the trust of the arch-liar, pretend to play into his hand. Then, should you wish, bend his efforts towards your own.
Harry, I'm a very busy man, and more importantly, I don't have that extraordinary physique you do. You look like you could run around all day.
You want to send someone a message that the police are working for you.
I repeat, I'm a very, very busy man, Mr. Kitsuragi, and therefore I must occasionally enlist outside help. So what will it be, Harry? Oh, no one's. It's just a weasel. A weasel lives there. Nothing for you to worry about. A loud blabbering weasel. When weasels feel no one is watching, they start acting foolishly. Just go there, unlock the door, and leave it open. It's been such a burden on me, Harry. I just want this to be over so I can discuss business with you. Of course, Harry, I understand. But if that's the case, I don't think we'll ever find your gun. Even worse, we won't be able to speak like equals about the murder. Perhaps this was just bad timing for you. Know that you can always come back to me. I really hope you do. For your sake, my sake, and for your gun's sake too.
Yes, we both understand what you meant.
This may be the only way, he thinks. I won't hold it against you. In fact, we probably should reconsider later.
I don't know what that means, Harry. Shady brew? There are so many moving parts in my operation, I can't keep track of them all. You know what? Don't even tell me. Whatever it is, do it. Surprise me. Just one thing. If you can, make it even shadier.
He sincerely has no idea what you were talking about. And he doesn't care either.
Wait. You need this to get in and out through the gate. Here, you're one of us now. A real red and white Union man. Take care, Harry.
Control panel with several knobs. 2 buttons marked Marche and Arrête are faded with use. It seems to control the large crane above. A container is attached to its hook block. Marche. On. Arrête. Off. With a loud grind, the crane shifts overhead, moving a massive metal container through the air. With a surprisingly quiet thunk, the crane places the container down.
I can't see how that was worth the wreckers, except for seeing the crane in action, which I admit was satisfying.
Before you stands a cargo container, just one of many in the yard.
You do? Because I don't. There are 1 million containers here. Why are you fixating on this one? You just picked one out because you wanted to interact with a cargo container. We are not here to interact with containers. We are here to talk to the Union, right?
No reply. You attempted to turn the handle, to no avail. The doors seem to be mechanically locked. To your left, the lieutenant considers your actions with some puzzlement. Looks like someone left his tarpaulin cloak hanging on the railing here. There is a white rectangle clearly visible on its back.
Yes, it was probably you. It does bear the RCM insignia, after all. The service cloak issued to you by your station? Yes, I do.
As your fingers touch the tarpaulin, it almost feels like the cloak once... note is written with a blue pencil on a piece of lined office paper. The kitchen magnets have left spots on its surface.
Does it say anything interesting?
This is tangential at best, but the lieutenant's detective instinct is still active. Someone has scribbled, S. I can't believe the off-site copy is still here. The illiterate ginger kid keeps stealing stuff from the studio, so I had to hide it somewhere safe. You'll find the filament memory with the off-site copy in the frozen ice cream maker. Please take it home, ASAP. It's important. I'd do it myself if I lived in a civilized place with a freezer. Take care, Sully Swaff.
Looks like someone from that radio game company upstairs. I'm a little surprised they just left their property lying here. That's a plausible hypothesis. It belongs inside a radio computer, storing its memory. It's like a tape. You listen to disco tapes, right? It's like one of your disco tapes, only for a computer. Really? You don't have a single guess? Oh, I'm sure that child would love to get his hands on a filament memory. Even if he doesn't know what to do with it, he'd probably try to pawn it for speed, based on our encounter.
The front of this quarterly journal features a large satirical portrait of the late King Friesel. From the sides of his head, a pair of white antlers spread to the corners of the cover. Because white antlers are one of the symbols of communism, they represent a society in accord with the natural world and at the same time above it. Because Friesel was incompetent, foolish, and cruel. In short, the embodiment of everything the communards wished to overthrow. It's satire, you see. To your disappointment, there aren't any full-color pictures to direct your attention. Just column after column of closely set text, interrupted occasionally by little doodles in black and white. After rifling the pages with your thumb several times, you return to the table of contents. The magazine is divided into several sections: international developments, Kunst und Kultur, and local concerns. Just inside the cover, there's also an editor's note. Comrade, as you know, this journal takes its name from Mazov's immortal expression, Du cristal à la fumée. This was his way of describing the way the rigid, crystalline structures of capitalist ideology turn to smoke under communism. But, like the structures of capitalist ideology, we too are at risk of going à la fumée. Unlike many publications which are content to spoon-feed their readers reassuring drivel, La Fumée is committed to telling the radical truth, even when that truth may drive away potential subscribers. Only 4 issues in, and it sounds like they've already alienated their readership. So please, if you value our radical Mazovian perspective on contemporary politics, culture, and international affairs, please consider subscribing today. Yours in struggle, the editors. You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you. Unsurprisingly, much of this section is taken up with articles declaring unqualified support for the dock workers' strike. You skim the headlines. Paint the harbor red and white. Martinez tames the wild pines. A city in revolt. First we take Martinez, then we take La Delta. Finally, there's a brief article by the writer G. Martin accusing the owner of the Capeside Apartments of illegally attempting to evict certain communist tenants simply for not having paid their rent. The eternal problem, according to G. Martin, is that under capitalism, the worker is rendered incapable of perceiving their own agency or lack thereof. Thus, they tend to experience their own oppression as though it were happening to somebody else. You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you. That sugary black rum stain on the counter makes you teary-eyed with joy. It's almost touching how syrupy and sticky it is. How long have you been up already? Oh, excuse me. Do you have something better to do than lust for sweet syrupy rum and lemonade? With a twist of lemon? Maybe lime? On the counter, rolled out of his open hand, you see a blister pack of headache medicine. The man does not mind. You probably need them more than he does.
You've just picked up some magnesium. This item is stored in the bottom left corner of the screen above your character portrait. Use magnesium to heal your morale if you have morale damage.
Yes?
The man ponders his cooking utensils and gives you a little nod, acknowledging your presence. The man says a couple of sentences in that strange language of his and then seems to wait for you to speak. I'm pretty sure he asked you a question. He doesn't know your language. You can just say something cool in return.
Horse need more vodka?
Okay, so it's vodka that keeps the men happy and in good spirits. Clever move by the Union.
Of course, vodka. Now that makes a very, very special borscht indeed. Turn it up and then ask for some yourself. Turning it up seems like a dangerous idea, honestly. The place is a powder keg. The cook gives you a long, inspecting look, then shrugs too, and seems to wait for you to speak. He looks up at you, then looks away quickly, shrugging and muttering something to himself. Shrugging is an international sign for, no, I don't know what's behind that door. The mention of mañana gets his attention. He smiles and delivers a whole slew of unfamiliar words and lively gestures. Then he falls silent again.
Can I help you? Yes, have you got it? Yes. Another thing. Great. I love those. Oh, yes, that door, sure. There's nothing mysterious about it. It's just a door. No, I don't have a key. I don't know how to get there. And I don't care either. It's not like I've been wondering about it for 10 years. It's just a frit warehouse, probably. Or some boring storage space with a bunch of old junk and dust. Junk and dust.
He's attempting to maintain an air of indifference. It's absolutely not convincing. He looks at the dust on his finger and wipes it off.
Yes?
Hello again, sweetie.
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull-out toolbox, and the soft glow of the fuel preheater gauge.
This is Precinct 57. How may I assist you? Just a moment, officer.
10-4, come in, officer. Over. Okay, 10-4, sir. I hear you. Relay your question. Over.
Wait. Before you say anything stupid, think it through. Be smart about this. Ask if he's there alone.
10-4, sir. I'm not hearing your question. That's a negative, sir. I got a 10-12. Visitors present here. Over. Understood, sir. Over. Roger that. 10-10. Over and out.
The tear machine stands in the corner. A sign says, "Your bottles clunk into the machine, and the money appears with a satisfying jingle. You're a richer man now."
Is this about the questions again? Because I don't really know anything. A warehouse? I don't know. Maybe. I don't really care what Frit does.
She looks up from under her brow.
Fine. Frit doesn't have a warehouse. Just a little back room here. Okay?
She looks up from her magazine, eyes filled with tired ennui.
Yes. What we have is there, in the medicine cabinet. Go take a look yourself.
A small cabinet on the wall is filled with various medicine bottles, nasal sprays, and blister packs. They all bear the Saint Baptiste Pharmaceutics logo.
Okay, here. I hope Saint Baptiste makes you feel better or something.
Hello again, officer. How are things?
An inconspicuous pile of the roofing material, Eternite. It's nothing. Someone just left some roofing material slanted against an old shack.
There must be another way into the building.
A sturdy metal door guards the south. This could be a way into the apartment building the smoking man vanished into.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with? You have? And how did you like Mr. Clare?
Finally, time to choose sides.
Of course, Detective. Excuse me for implying otherwise.
The RCM does not pick sides in this. I hope it doesn't come off any other way.
Of course. And I don't expect you to share anything he told you with me. I'm not a corrupt verm myself. However, if you felt like discussing something, how could I stop you? Are we not human? Are we not curious to hear another person's take? It's only natural. We would only be gossiping.
Intellectually speaking, it would be quite interesting to hear what she has to say about these things. Tell her she'll like you for it.
Of course, Detective. Should something come up later down the road, don't be afraid to drop by for a chat. Until then, is there anything I can help you with?
Hello again, officers. Have you come to admire my mural?
The worn and beaten wooden plank.
We can sit on benches after.
You can revisit the bench.
Hello again, my man. What's on your mind?
The woman still has her eyes fixed on the... An old monument stands in the middle of the traffic island, pointing toward the sea. It looks as if it's been reassembled piece by piece, secured and mounted in the... The worker is in a deep slumber. You gently shake his shoulder, but nothing happens. This man... The worn map features the patchwork grid of the streets of Martinez. Your finger moves through the various streets, finally coming to a halt on the spot where you are currently standing, although the map gives no such indication itself.
For a more detailed view of the map, go to your journal and select the Map tab.
It's the ledger you found in the trash, a cabbage of papers hanging from the board, with the permeables drawer inside. It's in the back you see thin translucent copy of paper, some neon yellow, some bright red, all covered in boxes, like marching armies. These look like official forms waiting to be filled out. Then rip them from the binder and hand them out, according to type of form. 3. The topmost are misconduct fines, the middle ones are station calls, and the bottommost are field autopsy forms. Each is easy enough to make sense of. You don't have to be an intellectual giant to do police work. A monetary penalization ranging from 20 to 250 real. Severe cases allow for 1,000 real, but that requires special paperwork. The details of issuing these fines are spread out over the rest of the fields, but they appear pleasantly vague. These are quite sinister in tone. They give a date and time for the person to appear at the specified precinct police station. Below the call are the criminal charges you risk by not appearing. A dozen pages of thin copy paper, bright red in color. You see the parameters of a deceased human form waiting to be filled in. Age, sex, condition of internal organs, color of the irises, predation marks, condition of sexual organs. Yes, all that remains now is to fill those forms and hand them to people. Fines for wrongdoers, interview requests for bad guys, and field autopsies to dead guys. The rest of the stinking cellulose is much worse for wear. Being sandwiched between the board and the rest of the paperwork must have spared the fragile copier paper. It's made of dark blue plastic, hard enough to beat someone to submission with. The edges are rounded, however. The U4 size board feels thick and heavy in your hand. Light shimmers on its wet surface. On the back you see the embossed letters, RCM. Something rattles inside, ever so lightly. Is there a hidden compartment? Permeables. It's not hidden per se. The compartment is made for permeable materials that would get damaged if something happened to it. The plastic shimmers like lapis lazuli, but it is not see-through. You cannot see to its center. There's pain in there, if you want some. That much you know. With your hands, U4-sized pages hang from the clip screwed to the top of the board. An aluminium block runs the width of the board, biting down on the paperwork. Its crocodile teeth are the only thing keeping the papers together. On it, the perforated watermarks counting the achievements of the person you used to be. A bunch of sodden papers sag from the clipboard in your hand. It's a sorry sight. Is not what you end up doing. You squeeze the plastic to slide it open, but nothing happens. Then you bend it some, then crack it. The goddamn thing is stuck. A hot flash of rage comes over you. For a moment there, before it recedes, you feel as though you might just squeeze a tear of anger out of your duct. Makes you wonder, why? The ledger quivers in your hand. As it shakes, the pages rustle. This pathetic mess, the acidic stench of rotting food is rubbed off on the cellulose. It now forms the base of the experience. This base surrounded by a faint air of spoiled meat, the stuff of death itself, and then sprinkled liberally with the citrus zest of toilet cleaner. The lieutenant observes you, raising and lowering the toilet water-logged mass under your nose, trying to get a good whiff. A good, analytical whiff.
Excuse me, I just have to ask again. How did it get in the trash? Boring? Try dangerous. You should do a thorough inventory of that. Make sure some has not fallen into the hands of the RCM's enemies, organized crime, or worse. Official notes sometimes contain informants' names, even undercover operatives.
Oh God, that sounds dangerous. Make sure you don't throw it out again.
Now, if you'll excuse me, that thing has filled me with the sudden urge to make sure mine is in perfect order.
Arson, petty theft, spousal abuse. Handwritten logs on dozens of investigations date back to January 51. Stamped case files, commit to paper. These are your last couple of months in Revachol, Precinct 41, Jamrock Quarter. Yes, it appears you employ a, shall we say, robust yet literary system. Each investigation has its case number written on the margins. Yet, still more tellingly, most are accompanied by a name. A title, one might say even. One that draws inspiration from snoop fiction and vespertine cop show staples. Yes, all caps. One is called The Next World Mural. Another, The Square Bullet Hole Murders. Another yet, The Unsolvable Case. Others appear more light-hearted. The guys on a couch in an unexpected location, and the murder at the Ukar Parlor, even the rare article-free collapsing tenement. Murder features prominently throughout. You like this grimy murdering, don't you? Wish there was one in there about a drug den. You love those. Gets the blood pumping. No, you don't. You're a human measuring instrument, almost entirely intellectual. It's going to take an effort to piece these case files together, but it can be done. Once you're done inspecting them up close.
You mean the alphanumeric? Officer, precinct, time of arrival at the scene? Good. That's a good one.
He understands you're concealing something, sire.
But do you also use the titular? Well, so do I. In our defense, officer, almost everyone in the RCM does. It's a holdover from the early days of the RCM, right after the revolution, when the organization had little idea how to do things. It persists in an unofficial capacity. Officers use these titles to refer to their work among themselves. Again, in your defense, I seem to have named one, the man with the hole in his head. That was a real person. His death was real. Still, I named it that, to amuse myself. I pray his loved ones never find out. Rail spiked through the head. He died. It was a workplace accident.
There is, for precisely one more. 15 pages near the end remain untouched by the damage. The checkered grid forms a structure of passages, breaking the case into subtasks to accomplish. Once all the tasks are accomplished, the case is complete. Sadly, the ledger only comes with an old, worn-down lead pencil. It's unfitting of this monumental event. The lieutenant looks at his blue notebook. 2 fat, shiny pens hang from the binder, like large-caliber bullets on an ammo belt. He is not really saying anything, just standing there, looking at them.
Know that I give this to you with resentment.
The tasks you've completed flow out of the blue oblong pen in a brash freehand uncannily similar to the rest of the letters the wording comes easily. It's almost robotically simple, a language developed for mental rigor and simplicity. Inspect the victim's body. Interview the cafeteria manager. It's not exactly poetry, but poetry would be out of place. A satisfying slash sounds across the paper. You're done, it seems to say. And you, and you. And a fuck you to you too. That last one cuts a slash right through the paper. Things to be done and things already done. The composition of reality. This is an extremely useful tool for a detective of the citizens' militia. Now all that remains is to name the case.
No, actually. Any ideas? Great. That's great. That's actually what I was thinking too. The Hanged Man. Good, strong name. We have a very good name for the case now. I'm going to start calling it the Hanged Man. It's good we sorted this out.
You don't exactly close them, so much as distance yourself from the smelly papers. They're a little further from your nose now. Yes, you can piece them together using the alphanumeric code on the margin. It always begins with HDB41, then date of initialization and time of arrival on the scene, followed by the title. For example, HDB 41120111700, the Next World Mural. Why yes, your precinct number is 41. Every last alphanumeric in the files begins with it. And these are your case files. It's safe to say HDB are your initials. Harry Dubois, HDB. This one is relatively easy to reconstruct. Overnight on 1202, a graffito, nay, a mural, appears on an 8-story tenement overlooking central Jamrock. The building is a sparsely inhabited ghost tower, part of a failed real estate development called Grand Couronne. Cause of failure, rent too high. The mural is enormous. 2 silhouettes, a man and a woman, are kissing. The text cut into their form reads, "True love is possible only in the next world. For new people, it is too late for us. Wreak havoc on the middle class." People call it that thing and that fucking thing. It's visible for miles. In 2 days, the station's complaints desk gets clogged with requests to remove the bummer. You and your partner are assigned to the case. The graffito crew is easy to track down. Only the belles-lettres have the literage of industrial paint to cover the surface. One of the graffito artists is rumored to be rich. They take responsibility for the execution, but not the design. The ideologue of the Next World Mural, as the crew calls it, remains an unknown. The case files do not show you finding the author of the design. The crew agrees to clean up after themselves. However, your partner, JV, is against the removal, citing public support for conservation. This leads to a debate in Precinct 41, which then spreads to the streets of Jamrock, ending in a rare plebiscite organized by you and the rest of Row 3. The 9,000 people subjected to the mural's message, all of Lakeside, Central Jamrock, and Villalobos, plus half of the eminent domain, participate in the vote. Although the case begins with what appears to be a lot of rambling on the streets as to how juvenile and stupid the mural is, given a choice between 2 options. A staggering 78% of voters choose to keep it. Turns out the opposition were a loud minority. And that love truly is possible in the next world for new people. And it is too late for us. In any case, it appears to have been a rare case of civil activity in the quarter. And agreement as well. What do you want to tackle next? AKA Leslie and Burke. AKA the public indecency drunk and the property damage drunk is a cursed case. It has been passed from unsuspecting officer to unsuspecting officer for 10 years. On January 29, the unsolvable case made its way to you. Why you accepted it, it is unclear. Every officer, and indeed most civilians in Jamrock, know it's unsolvable. You were so drunk you didn't remember what it was when you signed on. That, or you were high. Leslie will always take his pants off when he's drunk. Burke will always trash everything. It's just what they do. It is their nature. You cannot change the nature of a man. And you can't lock them away because public indecency and small-scale property damage are not punishable by incarceration. The only way for Leslie to stop flashing his genitals to bypassers and for Burke to stop dismantling signage and rear-view mirrors would be for them to stop drinking alcohol, which in their 40s or 50s, it's hard to tell because of their distorted features, is a medical improbability on par with you ceasing to produce the expression. You would think that, but you're wrong. Where's the fun in exposing your genitals or breaking stuff in your own home? No, Leslie and Burke are on the corner of Main Street and Perdition because that's where the action is. Can you keep yourself off the streets? Threatening fines, dragging them to the station, locking them up in the hellholes they live in, locking them up in the station, hypnotherapy, even trying to get the local gang of Zemyaki to take them out. The Zemyaki gave them ethanol so Burke and Leslie would expose and rampage even harder. You tried it all, and still the complaints wouldn't stop, as they hadn't stopped for 10 years. It's plain to see from the files that you, Satellite Officer JV, and Special Consultant TH had more important cases to attend to. You uncover cross-reference to several ongoing investigations, each brought to a standstill every time you drive down Main Street. Because there they are, on the corner of Perdition. And what is Leslie doing? No, that's Burke. Leslie's shtick is flashing his genitals, remember? How will you ever solve the unsolvable case if you can't even get that straight? Well, turns out it's pretty simple. The case becomes considerably less comic one day when Burke takes a swing at your ledger. He must have confused it with the property he likes to damage. But the joke's on him. You're also drunk. Drunk out of your mind on potent Pilsner. You slam the hardened plastic board in his face, then proceed to beat him unconscious with it. In the process, the ledger sustains damage. The compartment within, reserved for permeable documents, is jammed shut. You stop your assault on the now unconscious Burke to open it, but are unable to do so. The officer began to cry, reports Leslie, who, at this point, is tending to Burke. Kill them. They broke it. He came at us, and at us. I think he was trying to kill Burko. While trying to kill Burko, you slowly come around. The permeables compartment is open. You've smashed it open on poor Burko's kneecaps. The good news is, Burke can't walk anymore. Can't get out of his apartment, an invalid. With Burke to tend to, Leslie cuts back on the indecent exposure. Maybe he flashes his genitals to Burke. Who knows? But both drunks are off the street. The complaints stop. The unsolvable case is solved. Which is also why the officer responsible narrowly escapes a disciplinary hearing. The end. Do you want to read another one? Not much has changed in the meanwhile. A bunch of sodden papers still sags from the clipboard. The precarious world. How not to lose? It is impossible not to. The world is balanced on the edge of a knife. It's a game of frayed nerves. You're pushed on by numbers and punitive measures, pain, rejection, and unpaid bills. You can either play, or you can crawl under a boat and waste away. Turn into salt, or a flock of seagulls. Your enemies would love that. Or you can fight. The only way to load the dice is to keep on fighting.
Can I help you? Yes, have you got it? A lot. A lot. For the room, drinks, and broken window, 130 real. Yes? Another thing. Great. I love those. Yes?
The worn and beaten wooden planks of the bench.
We can sit on benches after we've solved the murder.
You can revisit the bench if you ever need to pass the time when Lieutenant Kit...
A sturdy metal door guards the southwest entrance to the apartment building. It's locked. This could be a way into the apartment building the smoking man vanished into. The door rattles again, but this time you hear an elderly woman's voice calling out from inside.
Stop banging on the door! I'm not letting any more strangers inside. Ha! The police? Everyone knows the police don't come round here. No, I already told you. I won't be responsible for any more strangers getting into the building. Go check the backyard door. Maybe someone there will.
You're well versed in the kind of threatening legalese that implies criminal liability, but in fact has no meaning whatsoever.
I know my rights, and don't you marm me, boy.
Miss, would it help if we offer to show you our badges?
Ah, it's like a carrot to the stick, sort of.
Hold your horses. I don't care about your stinking badge. Just come in. Give me a moment. The cold never does any good for my bronchitis.
This woman's health is failing her. There's not much to do. Not in this damp.
Go ahead, then. What do you want to know, policeman?
She's the cleaning lady. She knows the floor plan and the residence.
I'm no one. Just an old woman who cleans these hallways. If you could call it living. I have a little room upstairs right next to the coal room. It's barely bigger than a closet, but I don't complain, no. I have my bed and my aching bones to keep me company, and that's all I need from this world.
And all she gets, too. The coastal wind beats down hard on the coal room door outside. Splashes of waves make the balcony slippery. She hasn't spoken to anyone for a while. Even her sentences feel rusty.
Yes, I know who you mean. The scrawny boy who's always smoking like the devil, right? What's he in trouble for? Talk?
What was so funny about that?
He lives upstairs in room 28. Go to the balcony. It's one of those doors there. He's usually home in the evening.
Thank you. We should go check out his apartment on the balcony. See if he's home.
Ask away, policeman. The artiste? Nothing I can do about her, I'm afraid. She ruins the walls faster than I can clean them. Still, she leaves an old lady to her business. More than I can say for others.
She mumbles some kind of a response, then hacks something into her handkerchief.
Ask away, policeman.
She mumbles some kind of a response, then hacks. You hear someone walking around inside, rearranging the furniture. The number on the panel says 10. The walking stops abruptly, but no one comes to the door. A poor communard, from the looks of it. The room is barely bigger than a closet.
Do I have to open the door? Do you have a warrant? I'm not obligated to open the door if you don't have a warrant.
Let's go. We don't have a reason to get inside that apartment.
It's generally easier to do things if you have literally any reason. A poor communard, from the looks of it. The room is barely bigger than a closet.
Do I have to open the door? Do you have a warrant?
Let's go. We don't have...
It's generally easier to do... You hear someone walking around inside. This door has been closed with a padlock. No reply. It's a solid lump of metal, but the shackle is deeply corroded. A solid pair of chain cutters would make short work of it. No reply. That isn't just a five-pointed star. It's an inverted white pentagram cradled in a wreath of antlers. The iconography of communism, in other words.
I'll keep my armistice handy, Detective.
He doesn't actually reach for his gun. The star and antlers was developed in the 6th decade of the last century and quickly adopted by Mazov and the communards during the revolution. Even today, half a century after, the star and antlers retains the ability to evoke hope, disappointment, and fear in equal measure, to symbolize the toppling of the old order. Also, some social democrats were already using it, because white is the color of peace. Nothing at all yet. Right now, it's just meaningless shapes on a wall.
Give me a moment. Ask away, policeman. The hell am I supposed to know? Another nut job, I assume.
She really doesn't like those nut jobs. Bad blood there.
People come and go. I don't keep an eye on everyone.
They probably just moved or died, hopefully somewhere else.
No one lives there. It's been empty for months. Impossible. I would know if someone had moved in there. Maybe it's those countercultural people again, breaking into a house like it's a public space. You're a policeman. Be good and take a look, will you? Great. Young people. They're worse than rats. You know, always littering the hallways with trinkets and empty beer cans. Oh, that one is a scientist, a future scholar. I think he studies astrology at the community college. Something to do with all those stars around his door. He asked me to leave his drawings up on the wall. The symbol of what now? Ah, all I know about politics is that it's brought us more harm than good.
She mumbles some kind of a response, then hacks some.
We should think about calling it a day, maybe. The nights are still miserably cold this time of year. You should take care of that, then. Let's talk to him anyway. An officer of the RCM shouldn't be sleeping in the street. We'll figure something out.
You hear someone walking around inside, rearranging the furniture. The number a poor communard from the looks of it. The room is barely bigger than a closet. You hear someone walking around inside, rearranging the furniture.
Excuse me? Of course not.
Scare them. Suspected of some big crime. You have plenty of reason to enter.
Oh, come on.
Well, that was easy.
That was smart.
Satisfied? My name is Marielle Charpentier, and I'm an agent with Martinez Realty Associates. I am not breaking in, as I have every right to be here. The keys, see? Do you want to see my ID as well? You can't legally ask for it, but why not? Want to see my residence permit too?
It feels flimsy in hand, with the words Revachol Zone of Control written under a nondescript municipal logo. There's a picture of her with shorter hair inside, along with all her personal details.
Thank you. Do you have any questions? I need to be back in Midtown in an hour. I need to get it ready for the next lease, but as you can see, the previous tenant completely trashed the place. It was some kind of a moribund old man who used to be a business owner. You'd think they'd make rent. But that was months ago. Anyway, was there anything you wanted, or is that it? I'm in a hurry. It is. Everyone says the real estate agents don't do anything. But here I am in the middle of the night cleaning up someone's crash pad. So the sooner we get this over with, the better. Oh, that's another huge mess. The former tenant owes us 3 months of rent. 3. We closed the apartment and planned on auctioning off the valuables, but... And again, I have no idea how stupid mistakes like this can even happen. But Ron, when he came to close the door, didn't close the neighboring door. And there's a hole in the wall.
So preppy. She's probably on some low-grade performance enhancers, like Preptide or Pericanine.
on the wall. Can you believe it? And then the tenant ran off with his stuff. He's gone. The money's gone. Just like that.
The sum must have been puny.
Don't ask me what happened with the wall. I have no idea how we're going to find the time or resources to fix it. Both apartments are now unrentable. Both. Of course.
Give me a moment. I see. I hope some good people are finally going to move in. This place needs them. Yes, well, I hope they're good people.
Your statements are too vague to comment on. This door has been closed with a padlock. A chalk-drawn number on the board, no reply. This door has been closed with a padlock. A chalk-drawn number on the board says, number 11. This door is made of metal and appears to be reinforced. Someone here really values their security. Number 28. This is where the cleaning lady said the smoker on the balcony lives.
Let's see if anyone's home. Knock on the door.
No one answers.
Looks like the young man we are looking for isn't home. I think our best chance to catch him is in the evening. We should return tomorrow after we have finished with our day's work. How about 9 p.m.? Sound good? Tomorrow, 9 p.m., right here. Apartment number 28. Good, let's go.
Remember, tomorrow. He's probably gone for today.
Yes?
Just an ordinary wall. Nothing to see here. You have no clue. It's so many walls all...
Can I help you? Yes, have you got it? Does that arrangement include you paying me what we already agreed you owe me?
I understand your predicament as the manager. However, I feel I must remind you that we are here to conduct an important investigation that also affects your business.
Forgive me for saying this, but your colleague seems more committed to drinking, and... I mean no offense. It's really nothing personal. I just have to protect the interests of this establishment. Good luck trying to use it. All the locks have an electronic component. They have to be unlocked down here with a master key before your guest key will open the lock. Not until you bring me the money.
Okay. I might have something in my motor carriage we can use when you're done here.
Oh, Lieutenant, we're done here.
Yes?
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone.
I have something here we could sell. Look in the back, in the suspect transport enclosure.
The cage at the back of the motor carriage looks rather uncomfortable. 4 shiny hubcaps are stacked against the seat. Their silver edges sparkle in the dark.
I confiscated these 4 a little while back. We can take them to the pawn shop down by the Martinez Canal. There are spinner hubcaps, frivolous things you put on your wheels. When the wheels come to a stop, the caps keep on spinning. There's no real use for them, it's just for vanity. A couple of weeks ago, I stopped a young man for going slower than the speed of traffic. Turns out he was some coalition official's son and high. That they are. I was going to take them into evidence, but they weren't necessary for conviction. He never asked for them back. Yes, there's one 100 meters south of here. I think it's called Roy's Nest or something. If I'm not mistaken, it should be open late.
Items that can be pawned at Bird's Nest Roy's appear in your inventory under the Items tab. You can pawn these items when talking to Roy.
The lieutenant nods as you take the spinners.
Is this about the questions again? Because...
The tear machine stands in the corner. A sign says, 1 bottle.
Yes?
Hello again, officer. How are things? I'm a Nighthawk. What can I say?
She's still here because you're still here.
You don't have to stay here because of us.
I like the city at night, don't you? Since the street sign's messed up? Okay, what do you need? There's the pier, the Cape Side apartment buildings, some more tenements. Not a lot, really. The harbor gates? Some kind of commotion, I think. I don't follow the local politics. A fleet store, too. It's just water. No, actually, I think they call it the Martinez Inlet. There are some islands in the bay, but they're hard to reach. There's the pier, the Cape Side apartment buildings, some more tenements. Not a lot, really. No problem.
Give me a moment.
If you don't mind, please put the flashlight away. Some of us have photonic sensitivities.
Photonic sensitivity is not generally acknowledged by the medical establishment.
I do appreciate it. It's not often that I see officers from the RCM in my pawn shop. What can I do for you?
His courtesy is not insincere, but he prefers being alone with his projector, just watching the movement of light across the walls of the shop.
I haven't had any problems myself, though some of my customers have complained about inconsistent law enforcement.
Who are your customers usually?
All kinds of people come through here. Locals, travelers, people looking for a deal, people looking for a keepsake, people who are terminally bored. As you can see, I have a wide selection of goods for everyone to choose from. It keeps me entertained.
Entertained? He might be high. If he is, on what?
Yes, we'd like to sell these hubcaps.
Roy takes the hubcaps from the lieutenant and inspects them. The spinners appear iridescent in the dancing light of his pawn shop.
Yes, these are very, very good. Did you defraud some foreign prince for them? Jump a mesque banger? No matter. I'll give you 200 real.
No one was defrauded or jumped, I assure you.
Of course, I meant no offense. 200 real for you, officer. Delightful doing business with you. Do come again.
Thank you. Here's the 130 real you need for your bill. Do not waste it.
The rest is for him, to compensate for the pain of being separated from his radiant spinners.
Anything else you're thinking of selling? Anything else you're thinking of selling? Another time, perhaps. I doubt it, but I can try and answer any questions you may have. I do my best to keep my distance from all manner of butchery. Bad for business, bad for everyone.
He doesn't know anything. No one likes to see what you have to see every day. The pawnbroker's gaze is already fixed on the dancing colors.
Someone else came here earlier today asking the same question. I promptly sold her the gun you pawned a couple days back.
What? Sold? This is a pawn shop, and it did feel as if you've met before. Oh God. The lieutenant shifts from one foot to another, alert.
You
We've came here too. That just sounded really, really bad.
You were adamant about getting rid of it, officer. Said you were undeserving of a service weapon of the Revachol Citizens Militia. And I don't like keeping guns around the shop for long. Off-the-charts photon emissions. The unhealthy kind. She didn't seem like a policeman, although she kept referring to herself as a pig, which was odd. I found her interest in the gun a bit obsessive. but I was just happy to get rid of it. And of her. Truth be told, she was terrifying.
Right, so let me get this right. You sold your sidearm, issued by the citizens' militia, and now a civilian is running around the streets of Martinez with it? You're right that she could cast aspersions on the Force. We have to find her.
My apologies, officer, but I have no idea where she was coming from or where she went.
A needle in a haystack. There is nothing you can do about it now. You'll just have to hope you luck upon her somehow.
You...
With Kim here too? That just sounded really, really bad.
You were adamant about getting rid of it, officer. Said you were, and I don't like keeping guns around the shop for long. Off the charts photon emission, of course.
Feeling warm and enthralled by the movement of light, a drug developed by the military to treat and prevent radiation sickness. It has psychedelic side effects, and it makes your eyes turn yellow.
I try to keep the shop at a comfortable temperature. I'm not offended, officer.
You see rows of toy soldiers guarding the rest of the trinkets displayed on the table. Some on horseback, others in rags, others yet in bright blue uniforms. All are stern and unyielding in their duty. Big men on big horses, clad in lamella armor and carrying flintlocks, the kind that would mow down a line of enemy soldiers in the blink of an eye.
Franco-Nigerian knights. I used to be very serious about these guys.
They're not all blue. These figurines also wear gold coats and caps, complemented by orange trousers. They are variously posed, wielding swords and rifles with bayonets.
This is what the Loyalists looked like, yes, at first. Then they wised up and got camouflage.
Which ones? Ah, Royalist soldiers from the time of the Revolution. The uniforms are painted a bit too brightly, I suppose.
This set of soldiers isn't meant to look impressive. A few have rifles, but most of them carry pistols.
You're probably talking about the revolutionaries, yes? Yes, they are soldiers, revolutionary soldiers. I think their poverty has been exaggerated for effect. When you place them next to the Royalists, it doesn't seem like that. Maybe.
Everything you pick out seems faded, chipped, and sad somehow. Most of them are just broken toys. A typical Martinez streetlight sits among assorted floor and table lamps. The light pole has been carefully cut, and the wiring has been redone and attached to a standard indoor plug. The light buzzes faintly, but persistently. This would make quite a statement in your living room.
Yes, officer. As you see, it's in perfect working order. It was brought to me to be altered.
We are not here to investigate the theft of city property. You have to admit it's rather clever what he's done with it.
The boomboxes on the shelf look well-loved and well-traveled. Chipped, dented, They stare at you with the unblinking eyes of their tape reels. One especially catches your eye. Deep gold and amber plastic with a big old handle on top. A classic boombox that says Stereo 8 approved.
Is the Harman Welshie W2. Made in Vespa. Designed in Seoul. Plays all reel-to-reel formats. 2mm, 8mm, 12mm. It's even got a little radio in there. It'll set you back 12 real. If police work means playing tapes, sure. You can use it for that. Or any other time you'd need to play a tape.
A couple of indicator lights are missing from this control panel. Loose wires dangle from the now vacant holes. In the middle is a lever. Beneath it, a small metal plaque. This panel usually closes the water lock, turning it into a bridge that lets you cross the canal. But there's a crashed salmon and butter sign in the way. Pulling the lever probably won't do anything. You pull the lever all the way up until the metal clicks against the contact pins. You hear a soft clunk. Then nothing happens. A spring brings the lever back to its original position. You still need to close the water lock to get across the canal. Some other way. Wasn't there a sign over there saying functionality will be restored on Wednesday morning?
Can I help you? Yes, have you got it? Well? Great. Thank you, officer. That's all I wanted. Payment for services rendered. If you continue to stay here, I just ask that you please pay your nightly bill in advance starting tomorrow. The electronic lock to your room has been disabled till 9 p.m. tomorrow. Please pay for each night in advance starting tomorrow. 20 real per night.
I'll take a room here too.
Of course. Always happy to have officers from the RCM as guests. Anything else I can do for you?
This is the door to the room you redecorated.
Just a moment. We should talk about our progress on the investigation. Let's go out to the balcony.
The air outside is brisk. The lieutenant is silent for a moment. He listens to the traffic hum. Then,
Now then, we should talk about the investigation. But I also feel you're a bit hazy on the RCM. Our role here, our rights, our jurisdiction, basically. I have a cigarette every night when I go over my notes. It's something of a ritual.
oh man, he looks so devastatingly cool with that cigarette.
You're cold, Detective. Again, I only have exactly one every night. You mean this? This isn't cool. It's an unnecessary trial of will and unhealthy.
Keeping the habit within the parameters he's given himself takes a lot of focus. It would be easier to simply quit.
Yes, it's been a long and eventful day. Well, you were so hungover that you couldn't keep it down when we approached the hanged man, so we didn't even inspect the body. And there's still much to do at the crime scene too. We didn't search it thoroughly enough. As for the interviews, we conducted an interview with Everard Clare. He wasn't particularly forthcoming with useful information, however.
He's not saying much on the matter because he thinks you could have gotten more out of Everard.
Well, we will have to work through that. Claire also helped you, how should I say, remember your name? That's a relief. Moving on. We talked to Joyce Messier, but didn't get any information from her. I have a feeling Joyce knows how dangerous the situation really is. We have to get her to talk to us.
If Kim is emphasizing something this much, it really must be important.
Above all, though, today was exhausting. What's with all the running? You run a lot. Is that a standard Precinct 41 practice?
I have a really good theory about why you're running so fast, son. Just you wait until we get up tomorrow.
It's impressive, especially for a man your age, and in those hills. Nice shoes, by the way. I like the green. Goes with the orange.
Thank you for the compliment. We could manage it even in wooden clogs. There are uncanny running reservoirs in this body. God knows why.
They're quite limited, actually. The power officers of the Rebachol Citizens Militia exercise most frequently is imposing fines of up to 1,000 real for offenses, in accordance with an interdepartmental schedule. The RCM's primary role is to ensure safety. We are not really supposed to play any part in the economic structure of Rebachol. Yes, although indirectly, as citizens can always request records from their local station. Officers of the RCM have been known to take bribes of less than the prescribed fine amount. It undermines trust in the RCM. We can arrest people, of course, but rather than bringing someone in directly, it's preferable to serve a station cold sleep. It prevents confusion and overcrowding. You can't. Those who don't show up become fugitives, though, and have fewer legal rights when they are eventually caught. It's about power projection. Thus far, they seem to mostly show up. As you may have gathered from the fact that we are expected to carry a record of our kills, like the one in your watermarks, we are permitted to use whatever force is necessary, and strongly admonished not to abuse that power. You have to supply compelling evidence for why it was necessary to use lethal force. In these cases, your partner is usually your witness. Not a good position to be in, by the way. Internal Affairs handles these cases thoroughly, by cross-examining you for inconsistencies. It is hard to cover for anyone, which is for the best. Yes, the last time was 4 years ago.
There is a slight physical revulsion in him while saying that, but he's worked through it in the intervening years.
We don't convict. We arrest and send them to coalition government courts in Couron and La Delta. The prosecution works off our testimonies and records, which is why it's paramount to keep them. The coalition government and the moral intern more broadly. The RCM was formed by the coalition government to restore order in the international zone after the revolution. So we did. Now we attempt to maintain that order. No more, no less. Or perhaps it is better to say we were allowed to form. It's a point of contention whether the citizens of Revachol or the coalition government founded the RCM. Be sentimental if you like. Either way, the moral intern leases us the right to keep the peace in this city, and they will take it away if we misuse it.
Or if they think you do.
The Moralist International are the world's largest political organization. You know who they are. They have been running this place after the revolution failed. They're a union of center-left and center-right parties across the Real Belt. Our coalition government is just one of its many projects. They also run the ICP, EPIS, most intergovernmental organizations in the world. What do they believe in? They are Dolorians. They believe they continue the humanist project set forth by Her Innocence Dolores Day 4 centuries ago. Others say they are just technocrats.
Those others say they continue the humanist project set forth by Dolores Day.
Interesting question. It's a blue forget-me-not. Their motto is love, compassion, self-discipline. I think you can gauge what they want you to think of them from that.
Something kind and usual. Something almost self-explanatory. Something even a little feminine, but in a strict manner.
A historic figure? The author of the modern age? You will have to look elsewhere for opinions. The subject of humanism is too abstract for me.
For you, she is something painful, though it's hard to say why.
The moral intern are a fact. I try not to have opinions on facts until they change. And it doesn't look like that's about to happen. Do you? My kind of police officer.
The lights of the orphan district are reflected in his glasses, the red and golden orbs of the motorway sliding like pearls on a string from east to west as Revachol commutes back to the suburbs. Tomorrow is Tuesday. Monday is over. The dying lights of the city shimmer below. Slowly, like luminous clouds, they pass on his lenses. The lieutenant looks at his slim cigarette, contemplating the next drag.
They really don't like us here. And the mouth on that kid, Kuno. It's different inland, in Jamrock and the GRIH. It's our fault for leaving this place to the dogs, to the Union, to the company, not daring to come here more often. This place has fallen between the cracks, the jurisdictions of our two precincts. We run this city. West of the river is RCM land. It's incredibly hard. Human beings are... But we are in control, and it's worth it. The organization works, our systems work. If they didn't, the city would disintegrate. Me too. But I wouldn't count on any drastic changes in our lifetimes. Yeah, it's getting very cold now. Let's go. Yes?
This fan has two chain pull switches. One ends in a tiny fan, the other in a light bulb. The switch must be broken, because nothing happens. The air in the... The bed is cold and not particularly inviting, but it's yours. The sheets look awful. The sheets feel at once coarse and clammy against your skin. The bed sags beneath your weight as you stretch out and finally close your eyes. And then sleep. And then sleep doesn't come. Obviously, you're in bed with your eyes closed, but it's not happening. Maybe it's the bed's fault. Its synthetic filling has separated into hard lumps. The pillowcase smells oddly. It barely covers your toes, stretching over your soft belly. This is your body here, intimate and warm, breathing. It's a little better. Colors, scenes, and half-formed phrases still litter your mind. Part of you is still trying to solve the case, isn't it? Something to do with, what was it that the lieutenant said? Union? And it's gone again. Your thoughts lost between the slowing brain waves. Your breathing steadies. A great silence washes over you until your eyelids twitch in your sleep and images start forming.